All right, so this is one of those games that is just Champions League heritage. And, shout out to both teams, Inter and Barcelona. Thank you, both of you guys, both your football clubs, everyone who runs these clubs, for the amazing two-leg fixture we just got to watch. I'm in disbelief. 13 goals over 2 legs. Today, Inter Milan goes 4-3. This game was pretty 50-50 for a lot of people going into it. The betting odds had it 50-50. We said Barcelona. I said 3-2. And I'll tell you, man, I thought I'd done the madness because we watched this game as a watch-along on the live stream, and so many of you guys came into the stream on YouTube. So it was so nice to see you guys that watch this channel. You maybe don't watch me. It was nice to talk to so many of you. It was a crazy game. Like, this was one of those games that if you're a neutral, you just have anxiety. So if you're a fan of these teams, you're literally like, what is going on? And look, we start with the first half in this game where Inter, for me, just dominate. Like, Barcelona don't look like they even really belong on the same pitch. Even though it was 1-0 for most of the first half, we get to the penalty where a lot of people need to go watch the penalty call. And I don't even know if I have a direct example here of the penalty. I know the Barca fans on this channel, you guys like watching these videos. You guys are, you have your opinions. I will tell you right now, it was 100% a penalty, okay? The ball was not touched. Yes, Kubarsi was very close to winning the at least a part of the ball and having an argument, but it was a stonewall penalty for me. The ref got the call right. And I think the referee, I saw the Barca fans saying a lot that the referee control. I feel like this was one of those OG Champions League games that we saw incredible attacking, possessive TikTok style teams with fantastic wingers. And then we saw that other team that is such a smart technical defensive team that they don't just defend. Every time they defend, they're thinking about their next step. Bastoni's thinking about, how can I combine and go forward? They have players like Thuram, Bisek, Bastoni, Acerbi, 6'4" players that are good with their feet. Inter is such a unique team because they counter so well. And look, we saw I feel like a classical Champions League 2-leg 13-goal finale where I just feel like the referee didn't really ruin anything. I feel like the penalty call was good today. I feel like for the rest of the game, all the other calls were good. And I actually enjoyed how, yes, there were some fouls today that weren't called. It was pouring rain. It was one of those crazy sloppy games, players falling all over the place. And I felt like the referee did a really good job with at least letting the game play on a lot of the time. So look, was it a perfect refereeing job today? No. It never is. But do I think the referee ultimately ruined this game? I feel like it's a cope. And if you're a Barcelona fan, we're going to break down this game a little bit. You just look at this game and you're depressed because this was not a game that, what I'm saying is this was a game that you could have won, or this was a game you could have at least gone to extra time. People are so forgetful about this game, but this game was a situation where Rafinha, all right, and we'll break down the game a little bit, but Rafinha ultimately gets them the winner. They go up 3-2. I'm screaming Ballon d'Or loading. I'm bringing out my prediction saying, oh my God, I can't believe I predicted Barcelona 3-2. They get 3 goals unanswered after being down 2. And, they get to a situation where they're in the 92nd minute. Yamal hits the post. Instead of Barcelona choosing to keep the possession, they kind of keep the identity of the team where they keep going. They go for the killer goal to finish them. Yamal hits the post. And then, what happens in the next play? Inter find their way. They tie it up. Acerbi's throwing his shirt off, running around the stadium. The place is going nuts. And there's no better way to do that than at home. And they really had the home crowd behind them. And then ultimately, Fratesi. I was talking about this with my stream at the end of it. Inter Milan, if you take out the penalty in today's game, they, over these 2 legs, had like 2.5 XG. Like 2 XG total. And they scored 7 goals. And so for me, when I look at this 2-leg matchup, ultimately, I think Inter Milan were just the more decisive team. They were able to take their chances. You even look at the quality of the Fratesi finish, the ease of the Lautaro Martinez finish, the Acerbi finish. Guys, the fact of the matter is Acerbi makes a heroic run to save the game and has an incredible finish. It's just all the finishes. You go back to the first leg. You go to look at the Dumfries goals, the Thuram goal. Like, the quality that Inter Milan just demonstrated, for people to sit here and just say that this is some defensive team that parked the bus, doesn't deserve it. You want to watch that? Go watch England at a major tournament, because that's pretty much what they do for 120 minutes. This was tactical brilliance from Inter Milan, and it was also, I feel like, Barcelona just not finishing their chances. Yamal, for me, if we talk about man of the matches, okay? First of all, I don't know who got the man of the match tonight. Sommer saved Inter Milan. Inter Milan put themselves in a position to get to the final, but Sommer was the one who ultimately carried them to that spot. Sommer tonight had, I can't even tell you how many saves that were like Yamal finesse shots ascending to the top corner. We're talking anything and everything this guy was saving. He saved an open net from Garcia. The guy was everywhere. The guy deserves his flowers, and I said it on stream earlier. It reminds me of when I used to watch Sommer, and this guy was at Gladbach, and he was, this was like 6-7 years ago, and he was like, Bayern, they were like Bayern's kryptonite. Like, Bayern would have like 30 shots, Gladbach would beat them 5-2, and Sommer would have 26 saves. It was one of those nights for Sommer, and I just feel like ultimately, it sucks that Barcelona, for the season they've had, are not going to be playing in a Champions League final, because you guys know me on this channel. I'm really high on this team. I predicted them to go to the Champions League final. I thought they were going to get the treble done. It's not happening. It's not happening, you know, and it sucks that they go out this way. You know, when I look at the game ultimately, injuries really caught up with them, but can you use that as the say-all, end-all for this game? Well, look at who contributed for your team. Eric Garcia scored. He almost had a second goal. He probably should have put that away. And Martin gave you 2 assists. So the fullback cop-out, I feel like, yes, it sucks you don't have Balde and Koundé. I agree. Is this a totally different team, especially with Balde? Yes. Yes, he is that good. However, I feel like your fullbacks, for what they were, did enough today to propel you to the finish line. And ultimately, between Ferran Torres just really not having a great game and the physicality of Inter Milan, I just feel like Barcelona got a little outmatched today, and they just couldn't find that extra millisecond of clinicalness to get through. You know, the biggest disappointment for me, Yamal was ultimately, for me, the best player on the pitch, probably with Dumfries and Sommer. But Yamal was just missing by the tiniest margins his finishing today. He had a toe poke that he could have put them ahead. And it's not to blame the 17-year-old, because I feel like everyone is starting to blaming Yamal for this game. I'm like, did we just watch the same game? This guy was double, triple teamed the whole game. Did you see the way this kid was moving? Like, it's like he has 4 lungs, bro. He was sprinting for 120 minutes, taking players on. So Yamal played fantastic. Just for Barcelona, it sucks for them, because ultimately, I feel like they created enough to do enough in this game to go through, and they're going home. They're going out sad, and that's how football goes, bro. They didn't take their chances. Sommer, for me, man of the match. Inter Milan, it's now a team where you see this team going to the final, and you think, like, wow, no matter what happens in this PSG-Arsenal game, Inter Milan are just, man, they're really a Champions League team. They've been a Champions League team. I look back at the final 2 years ago. Lukaku probably should have put that to extra time. They prepare and game plan so well in these matches. You know, for them to get this result, guys, against this Barcelona team, people want to jump to point fingers like, oh, Barcelona's overrated, or, oh, it's Yamal's fault. I don't, you know, would I have liked to see more from Rafinha today, who I think, you know, is probably in pole position right now for the Ballon d'Or? I don't know how today impacts it. Yeah, I would have. You know, yes, you could look at the stats and he got a goal. I wish I saw more out of him. I felt like he could have done more for them. I felt like when I watched this game today, Yamal was giving everything. The amount of chances that Yamal created today, I don't even know statistically. I mean, he completed the most dribbles, 14, most foul player in the match. The dude was running all game. I mean, I felt like Yamal gave it everything today. You know, where did I feel like this went wrong for Barcelona? I think, yes, the injuries caught up to them between all the makeshift lineups and all that. The high attacking style caught up to them today, because when they want to play like this, they're going to concede a lot against a good team like Inter, and they need to match it with goals, and they just didn't get enough goals. I felt like Torres did not play well, and then when I saw Lewandowski come in, which, look, Flick and Lewandowski, there's a huge loyalty between the two. Guys, Lewandowski for me has never been a big game player. He's just never been a player that I feel like we get to this big spotlight and he overshines. Some players do. I've never felt like he's horrible in big games, but I don't think he's a guy that you go to and, or at least depend on. He doesn't thrive in the moment. And I felt like today, I don't know, you know, was there a disconnect between, you know, Hansi felt like he needed a goal. Obviously, he's been one of the best goal scorers in the world for so long now. He subs him in. Was he not fit? Right? Because it's like, but that one chance you have where, you know, Lewandowski ascends, Sommer misses it, Lewandowski's over the player at the back post, and he has a real chance to score it. It's a wide open header, and he shanks it that far off. That was so disappointing, that miss. There's so many that we could talk about. And then it's just Sommer, man. Today, for me, it was just Sommer being so great. Inter Milan really wanted this. Both teams wanted it, but you could see Inter Milan, man. Once Acerbi got that goal, I mean, they just started believing, and in extra time, I mean, Barcelona created enough to do it, but they just didn't. And Inter Milan, man, the belief, once somebody starts believing something, anything is possible. And man, Inter Milan did enough today to go through. Thuram couldn't even walk out there. He was trying his best. It's amazing to watch Yamal play. I wish that we could see him in a final this year. It sucks because I do root for the kid. But, ultimately, guys, between, Summer and the brilliance of Dumfries and the brilliance of, man, the Cherby vibes, this team, Inter Milan, man, it's a team that I think should be really, really considered to win the Champions League final. Barcelona, they still have the league to play for, obviously, which is going to be all eyes on that. What did they get off the bench today? Fort should stick to playing Fortnite. Pretty much every single player that got subbed in really didn't contribute much. I mean, Firmino had a chance to lead. I think it was Pedri on through goal, and he kind of just led the keeper. Araujo, questions have to be asked about his positioning tonight. Fratesi was the best player off the bench for both sides. And, is this a case where do I feel like Inzaghi outmanaged Flick, or what I've said it the other way if Barca went through? Guys, ultimately, I feel like it's so weird that we go online and we see all this hate all the time about players. This was a phenomenal two-leg matchup between two really phenomenal teams, I feel like, this season. People want to right now run to how overrated La Liga is and all this stuff right away because Barca went out. And people are quick to forget that Barcelona was winning 3-2 in this game. They could have held the ball for 3 minutes, and they chose to go forward and attack. They also had chances when they were tied. They also had chances when they were losing. This was just a thriller. This was a game that never stopped delivering. And, as football fans, bro, we need to be thankful and not just ripped right away to the hate watching, because what both of these teams are doing, we have such an interesting situation where Inter, have a chance. They're still kind of in the realm of, if Napoli do drop points, and they are also in a Champions League final now, which is crazy. That's 2 Champions League finals for Inter in 3 seasons now. And they've beat probably the favorite. Barcelona was probably the betting favorite this season, and ultimately injuries, fatigue, and the craziness of the season I think caught up with them. They just were not clinical tonight. I don't want to put too much on Yamal, and I'm not just saying that because he's a kid. He missed some chances he probably should have scored, but he also put some crazy chances top corner that Summer just made better saves, freakish saves, and I felt like he really gave the team everything he could tonight. So ultimately, guys, we predicted Barcelona in the final, and now this makes me look to tomorrow. Like, what the hell is going to happen tomorrow? Do we just throw out all predictions? Because what the hell? Now, Inter are going to have some real time to get some people recovered, Thuram looked pretty banged up. Lauti looked, definitely Lauti did not look fully healthy. Pavard should be back for the final. So Inter has a really strong team for the final. And, we look at a scenario that either PSG or Arsenal win. I'm struggling to see a way. Like, I really think Inter is a serious favorite to win. I think it's going to be hard for me to get my mind made up on picking against this team. And I'm not even overrating Barcelona or anything. I think Barcelona has been properly rated this season. All eyes for Barcelona now, guys, because this is a really tough loss. This is all eyes now on the Clásico, man. This is this Sunday, 10:15 a.m. It's going to be crazy. So this is going to, ultimately this game is going to probably decide the league, right? Because Barcelona, look, if they don't win this game, the drop in form, it's going to be rough, And Real Madrid, if they can end up winning the league for how the season they have had, oh my goodness, man, they are probably going to be flying into next season. So crazy. Football is a crazy game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.